Okay, all I said was welcome to class and thank you for coming. Thanks for coming to the live Zoom. I think it's really important to learn math like this. It's easier that way. I don't know. I just think you guys understand it more when it's live rather than watching it on YouTube. I'm really starting to miss teaching you in person because it is very difficult to teach and, as well as you know, learn math from far away from, the student and the teacher aren't meant to be far away like this. So it's definitely taking an adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint with you guys today. I want to start off by saying happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I had to shout out to all those Star Wars fans out there on May the 4th. So I did just say about the Friday's quiz. I just want to go ahead and mention, remind you that we are on a new schedule that's starting last week, really starting this week. So anything that is due from all of your teachers in the 6th grade is going to be due on Friday by 11 a.m. Okay. I think Miss Kara said by 2 on a bonus thing, but it's mostly all by 11 a.m. So you guys need to be ready for that and, kind of get in that groove for the rest of the year. It's not really that long. It's only about 3 weeks. And then also all of your quizzes are going to be taken on Friday between 11 and 2 p.m. So you need to be prepared for that. Most everyone did a great job of that last Friday, but now it's going to go ahead and roll out to all of your classes. You do not have a math quiz this week. So it's just with, I know Ms. Kara has a chapter 29 test, and I'm not sure about the other classes, but next week I think we'll have a math quiz. But right now, no math quiz this week. So you don't have to worry about that with me. You do have some assignments though this week, and they're pretty easy because they're IXL based. So I'm going to do a little ESB check-in with you to explain that to you. We're going to review just for a brief moment of what we talked about line and dot plots last week, because it does have to do with the histograms that we're learning about today. We are learning about reading and interpreting histograms, reading in math class. I like to bring that up. Again, no quiz this week. You do have a IXL graded assignment and a bonus credit opportunity for you. I know you guys love having some bonus points on the quizzes, so I am going to give you a little bit of a chance for some bonus points there. So let me go ahead and share my EDSB page. Just give me a second here. All right. All right, kiddos. So we have my EDSB page here. Make sure, by the way, that when you guys go to EDSB, that you're actually clicking into your math class. Yours is going to look a little different than mine, but make sure you're actually visiting into the class and not just hanging out at the stream that kind of summarizes everybody's, everybody's information. So go on in here. This is today's post. It's black for Monday. Monday is black. And it tells you what we're going to do. There is something that I recommend you print. If you don't print it, it's okay. Just note down the answers on a piece of paper. There's only 10 questions, and they're mostly multiple choice. And they are all multiple choice. And you're just going to write down like A, B, C, or D or whatever. Just note the answers, because that's going to be good for you to use on a quiz on histograms, okay, as that comes up. So today you are here, so you already did number 1. That's awesome. The people that are not here, you're already watching it, so we don't have to worry about that. Number 2, IXL graded assignment. You are going to go to IXL, and please remember that you need to go to the LearningGate IXL website, which is ixl.com/signin/LearningGate. It comes in, you should see the LearningGate logo. Go ahead and go on in here. And on EDSB, it shows you a search shortcut, and I highly recommend you listen to me about this. Today's search shortcut is CBF. You might want to write that down. And that's the one that's going to be for a grade, and whatever SMART score you end up on is going to be your grade, okay? This is a great chance to make up for any quiz grades you did not like, okay? Because it's basically going to match that quiz grade. Also, you have a chance for bonus credit. If you go to search shortcut MFY and you complete it up to a SMART score of 80, you get 4 bonus points added to your last quiz. If you get up to 100 and master the skill, then you get 6 bonus points added to your last quiz. So that's a really great opportunity if you are not happy with your grade. That doesn't happen often, so make sure that you guys take that opportunity. Okay, so IXL, again, CBF is the one that's for a grade. So you go up to the top of the search and you type in CBF and it pops right up, and then that way you don't end up doing the wrong skill, which happens sometimes. So today's IXL skill is for a grade. I'm going to say that over and over again. IXL graded assignment. It's 100 points in the grade book. You can't just not do it. Okay, it's mandatory. And then the bonus credit is optional, but I highly recommend you do it because you don't know what's going to come up and you might get a low score on a quiz that we're going to have in the future. And you're going to wish that you had those extra couple points that I don't often give. Now, when are these things due? When do you think you need to have those IXL skills done by? I already kind of said the answer earlier, and that would be by Friday at 11 a.m. because that's when everything is due now. So just keep that in mind and remember that, okay, guys? And try to, teach your friends that, like if they get confused about the new schedule or about what assignments, we're all in it to help each other, okay? So we want to make sure that we're helping each other understand everything, okay? All right, so we're going to go back to the PowerPoint, and hopefully you know what you're doing with IXL. Actually, I want to show you one more thing. I lied. Okay, so let's go back to EDSB. So here's the thing I was talking about downloading. If you click on it, it's a PDF. We're going to actually do this in class. So we're going to do the answers to all this. This is a 10 question multiple choice. So either print it, and I understand if you're out of printer ink, it happens to the best of us. So if you are out of printer ink, just kind of pull it up as a PDF, maybe save it to your desktop. That would be a good idea as a student to kind of make a folder and like make a math folder on your desktop and save all these things in it so you don't have to print things. But just make sure you make note of the answers so that you know what you're doing. All right, so we are back at our PowerPoint here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I already went over what you need to do on your own time. IXL graded assignment, bonus assignment. All right, so just to review, last time we talked about analyzing line and dot plots. We talked about clusters, all clustered together. Okay, we talked about an outlier. The outliers are those shady characters that are just hanging out on the edges of the town, and there's tumbleweeds kind of blowing past when you see them. And some math teachers like to say outlier. Okay, so those are the outliers, the ones that don't quite belong. Okay, now they're not always going to be an outlier. For instance, in this data set here, you can't just say 19 and 25 are outliers because they're all by themselves. No, they have to kind of be far away from the rest of the data. Okay, so they're always going to be on the edges of either the lowest or the highest number of the data set. Okay, we talked about gaps. Here's some gaps in histograms and line plots. We talked about clusters. Clusters all get clustered together. And the reason why we're going over this, one second. The reason why we're going over this because there are going to be gaps in histograms today too. And then peaks as well. There's going to be some peaks in histograms, as you can see right here. Okay, so let's get into what is a histogram and all that jazz. Okay, last time we actually talked about skewing and symmetrical data, and we're going to bring that up today as well. So if you did not watch the last lesson, you have to. Okay, you really have to, because now I'm only doing 2 lessons a week, guys. So that means there's more information in both of the lessons. They're getting a little longer. So you need to make sure that you don't skip a math lesson, because otherwise you will be very, very confused. Oh, look at this. We have a typo. Let's fix that. Okay. So some tips to remember on reading and interpreting histograms. Bar graphs show categories. Okay, so when you were young in 1st grade, 2nd grade, you guys did bar graphs. Even in kindergarten, it's like, what's your favorite color? And you have a bar for how many kids liked purple and a bar for how many kids liked red and things like that. Okay, the bar graphs are for categories, colors, pets, number of siblings, those kinds of things. Histograms are a type of bar graph, but they show intervals, ranges of a frequency of numbers, how frequent numbers pop up in a data set. Okay, so these are repeated numbers within a range, and I'll show you what I mean. But so that's a tip to remember the difference between a histogram and a bar graph. Categorical data, categories, bar graphs, like when you were in first grade, colors, favorite animals, stuff like that. Histograms are bar graphs that show intervals. So they range from like 0 to 9 or 10 to 19, okay? They're interval ranges. For instance, our grading systems are intervals. An A is, you know, a 90 to 100, you know, a B is an 80 to 89. Those are intervals, okay? All right, so some key vocabulary you're going to need to know. A bar graph, like I just said, is a chart that shows the comparison of information by the lengths of the rectangular bars. That means like how high they go up. A histogram is a special type of bar graph that shows the frequency within an interval. Okay, the difference again, a bar graph is when you grow up a little older and you get into this a little more, they'll call bar graphs categorical data, versus histograms are quantitative data. Okay, they show a quantity, numbers. An interval is a time between two events or a space between two objects. An interval is like a range, okay? A range between, like I said, 90 to 100 and things like that. All right, so let's go into like jumping right into it, because you will understand it so much more when we see this. And remember, when we see all these new things, we see something brand new like this stuff's brand new. You might feel a little bit of a feeling of struggle, and that's okay. That's the learning process. So if you do feel that, just know you're on the right track then, because you're learning something new and your brain's trying to process that, okay? So histograms. Histograms are a special type of bar graph, just like the one shown here, that shows a distribution of data. In histograms, you start off with a frequency table. So tally marks, yes, we finally get to do tally marks in math again. Okay, you've been waiting for this all your life. Okay, you're back to tally mark math. So in frequency tables, you would tally how many numbers are between 50 and 58, like how many test scores, how many kids scored between 50 and 58, how many kids scored between 59 and 67, how many kids scored, and so on and so forth. You tally them up, you count the tallies. Now you've got intervals, okay? Your intervals are these score ranges, all right? And the important part is these intervals have to be equal, meaning you have to give the numbers an equal chance of landing in that bin, okay, in that interval. So these are all by 8. So each one has 8 numbers in it, okay? So that way it gives it an equal chance to fall in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense at all. Okay, so you have to have equal intervals. That's one of the main mistakes. And next class, we're going to talk about creating histograms, and we'll get into the equal intervals more then. Now we're just reading and interpreting them, okay, like bar graphs. We're just reading them, figuring them out. All right, so we're going to go through, I believe it's 7 steps to how to read and interpret a histogram, because there is reading in math class, guys. And so I'm going to go through all the steps that you're going to need to know, and this is going to help you on your IXL skill today. So please pull up the slideshow if you need this during IXL to try to figure this out. All right, the first thing you're going to do is recognize the difference between a bar graph, they called it a bar chart, bar graph, and a histogram. Okay, a bar graph is going to have bars that are separated from each other, like your favorite color, like I said earlier, okay? This is category data. And then over here is a histogram. The histogram has no space between the bars. They're all squished together because we want to show a fluid flow, a distribution of the numbers. Okay, there's not spaces there. And that you would think, oh, that's just like a design choice. No, it's so that we could show a fluid, the numbers don't have gaps. It's just like an ever going thing, like a number line. Okay, so down at the bottom is a number line. Sometimes we'll show intervals, and sometimes we'll just put the last number in the interval. So on this one, they just put like a 5. So that means 0 through 5 would be there. And then everything after 5 up until 10 would be there. Everything after 10 up until 15 would be in the next one, and so on and so forth, okay? Let me let someone in here. Bars on a histogram are fixed, okay? Bars on in a bar graph, they have equal spaces and they're just kind of a lot simpler, okay? So you need to know the difference between what you're reading if you're reading a histogram or a bar graph. Next, you're going to read the title. Guys, this is important stuff. You don't just jump right into the numbers. So this is showing the heights of black cherry trees. And I'm thinking, well, height can be measured in many different ways. So you need to also make sure that you read any other parts that are important. So the moment I read height, I think, well, is this centimeters? Is this feet? What's going on? Is it meters? So down here at the bottom, I can see the title of the x-axis and see that it's in feet. So that's another important bit of information there. Okay, and then we're going to move on to reading the axes. Okay, the axes are your x-axis and your y-axis. The x-axis here is the horizontal axis and the y-axis is the vertical. Both of you give you essential information. Many histograms show the results of the frequency. So the frequency is usually going to be on the left-hand side on the y-axis here. It's showing you how many numbers fall within each interval, and sometimes they call those intervals bins. They're like buckets. Sometimes they call them range, but they're really, the best term for it is an interval, okay? So you're gonna always have your intervals on the x-axis, and then you're gonna have your frequency, how many of them, on your y-axis. Now this is about football passes thrown. So when I look at the bottom here, this shows me the number of passes, okay? So if I had to say, well, you know, the number of passes, it could go from 0 to 69. That's the range of it, okay? But the frequency would be how many times that person threw that number of passes in a game, okay? So there's a couple layers of information there. Let's go to the next one here and just identify the x-axis. So the intervals used, that's the next thing you're going to read, and those are at the bottom here. You're going to look at these. This is Riley Middle School coin drive. So they're collecting coins. Always picture it in your head. What is going on here? This is showing the number of coins brought by students, and then this is showing how many times that number of coins were brought. They called it responses. Okay, it could be just the number of times that person brought 4 coins or the number of times a person brought 5 coins, okay? So 0 to 4 coins, 3 times that happened. 3 people brought 0 to 4 coins, okay? This shows that 8 times someone brought 5 to 9 coins. And then someone, look at this, one person over here brought 20 to 24 coins, okay, a real go-getter. So this is showing you your intervals. Each interval is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 5 numbers could fit in each interval. Each interval is worth 5 numbers. So notice this goes 0 to 4, not 0 to 5. And then this one goes 5 to 9, not 5 to 10, because you don't want to include a number in 2 intervals. It has to only be included in 1 interval. That's another mistake that is commonly made when creating a histogram. So we'll worry about that mistake next class on Wednesday. So here we could just read it, okay? You're going ahead and just looking at what's going on in the intervals and making sure you know what's happening in the histogram altogether. Remember, we're reading, we're interpreting. All right, another step is to use the top of the bar to read the frequency of the group. So on the y-axis, you're going to see the frequencies. So you're going to look at the top bar. This goes from 10 people to 50 people, okay, being the top. You want to look at if it's counting by 2s. This one's counting by 10s because some bar might land halfway in between 2 frequencies over here. And then you would have to figure that out, just like on a number line. So this is showing that 10 people were between 5, 6 and 5, 8. Now, I have a problem with this image. My problem is this, and hopefully it'll let me write with my pen. Lava pen. I'm feeling the lava pen today. Okay, here's the issue with this. There's a problem. This first interval includes 5, 8. Well, guess what? This second interval also includes 5, 8. So if I have a kid that's 5, 8 and I'm trying to put him somewhere in which interval, I don't really know. Am I supposed to put him in the first one or the second one? So when creating a histogram, you have to be a little bit more clear than this one. So this one could say 5, 6 to 5, 8.0, and then the next one would be maybe 5.8.1 to 5.10.0 and so forth. So you got to be a little bit careful with that and not including one number within two intervals, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So that last one was using the top bar to read the frequency of the group, okay? This is noticing the shape and the distribution. This is like what we talked about last time. So in histogram A, most of my information is to the right, so that means that it is skewed to the left. So most of my information is to the right, and it's getting pulled, it's getting skewed to the left. It is left-tailed, okay? So that one has a skew to it. It's not symmetrical. Down here, we're also going to ask ourselves questions like, are there any gaps in my data? Okay, are there, what's the peak of the data? Those kind of questions. Here we have a gap at 21 to 40. We have a gap at 81 to 100. Okay, so this is a weird histogram to describe. It's not really symmetrical, and it's ish skewed, like it's a little bit skewed left, but it's hard to really say that. So you would maybe focus on what the peak is if you had to describe it, where the gaps are, and the fact that it's not really symmetrical and kind of skewed to the left, okay? Let's go ahead to the next step in reading and interpreting histograms, and that is there any information you need to find? This is important, so listen up. If you zoned out for a minute, come back to me, because this is what's going to be on your IXL questions today. And in fact, these exact histograms are pulled from IXL just so I can help you with that, okay? So I have a request to not use crazy pens, so I'm going to go back to just a normal pen. Okay. All right, so is there any other information you need to find? So sometimes they'll ask you questions about histograms, and that's what our guided practice is going to do, and that's also what our IXL skills are going to have us do. So they might say, find the total number of students. How many students, like for instance, on this first histogram, hours spent playing video games on the weekend. They might say, how many students did this survey, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna add up all of these. So here we have 2. Okay, the next one we have 3. This next one we have 4. This one is 7. And then this next one's 9. And then you're gonna basically add those all up. So I'm gonna do 7 plus 3 is 10. Plus 6 is 16, plus 9 is 25. So that means 25 students were surveyed here, okay? So that shows you the total amount. So you're gonna count up, and I went ahead and wrote that right here. Count up the total of each interval and add them up if you're trying to find the total whatever, total students, total magazines, total whatever it may be, okay? You're gonna add up the frequencies for each one. Sometimes they'll ask you a specific question or a specific interval. So to find a certain number like 80 or less, if they asked for 80 or less on this second histogram, you'd find 80 and then you'd go or less. Think of inequalities. Like when we did that, you're gonna add up all of these. So this would be 5, this next one would be 10, and this one would be 5. So if you add them all up, you get 20. So here's 20 students went ahead and, excuse me, not students, let me go back here, 20 magazines, this is pages per magazine. So 20 magazines have 80 or less pages, okay? You see how I had to readjust my thinking to what the histogram was asking? Now, I mean, what the histogram was showing. Now let's see what another question it could ask us. They could say on this one, how many magazines have between 41 and 120 pages? Well, then you'd find 41 and you'd find 120 and you'd count up everything in between that. So this would be 10 because the frequency is 10 if you go over, okay? This frequency is 5. This next frequency is 25. So you have 25, 30, 40. So 40 magazines were between 41 and 120. Okay, so that's how you answer these. And in fact, on IXL, there is a pen setting that you can draw on and do the same thing that I just did. That's actually a really good strategy, is to draw the numbers right on the bars. Okay, so you could do that on IXL when you go to do your thing today. So if you have handy the PDF that I told you to either print or pull up, we're going to go ahead and go over that now. If you don't have it handy, please find something to write on, or in a notes app or something to put 1 through 10, what your answers 1 through 10 are going to be. All right, here we go. Histograms multiple choice practice is what it says on the top. The following data shows prices of meal options at Bob's Burgers. Bob wants to construct a histogram from this graph. So these are all the frequencies. The first thing he would do is make a frequency table. We're going to learn about that on Wednesday. But for right now, we want to know how many meals could belong in the interval $10.99 to $13.99. So you're counting up how many could possibly go into it. I'm going to use a highlighter setting on this and just go through. I need $10.99 or more. Excuse me, $10.99 up to $13.99. So $10.99 up to $13.99. I'm going to go ahead, and if I make a mistake, you got to let me know here. I'm going to highlight all the ones that would possibly fit. 14 is too much. 13's good. Okay. All right. And that's it. So now I'm going to go ahead and count these suckers up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 meals would fit in that range. So the answer here is B. So you can circle that, or you can just notate that it's B for number 1. All right, so let's go to number 2. Again, this is practice for your graded assignment, your IXL assignment. These are the types of questions that will be asked. Now look at this histogram. Some people choose to put some space on the left and the right of the information. So here they have some intervals here that have nothing in it. That's just a personal choice on histograms. You don't really have to do that, and a lot of the times they don't. Okay. The annual amount of rainfall for 25 cities was recorded and is shown in the histogram below. Okay, I'm going to read the title, annual rainfall. I'm going to see that it's in inches. This is the number of cities that has this rainfall in inches. How many cities would have an annual rainfall of 28.5 to 32.5? So 28.5 would fall here. Okay, and then 32.5 would fall in here. I'm having a little bit of a issue with this question, but that's okay. I'll tell you that in a second. Okay, so this would be 4 and this is 2. So 28.5 would be within this bin. It said could, so I'm going to let the question go since it said could. But the answer is 6A, because there's 4 in this interval and there's 2 in that interval. But I could see where someone could lobby for the answer of 12, because you could actually count this one, because this goes up to 32 and 32.5 would then fall in this one right there. So I could see why how someone could argue that question being 12, but I really don't like that question, because you can't know if this is going to be 28.5 or not. So that one's an ish question. I wouldn't put a tricky question, and IXL doesn't have tricky questions like that. A or D, I can argue for both those answers there. The annual amount, number 3, the annual amount of rainfall for 25 cities was recorded and is shown in the histogram below. Same histogram. How many intervals could represent an annual rainfall of 30 to 36? So 30 would be here. Okay, still going up to 36. Boom. How many intervals are those? That's 3. 3 bars. Okay, so up to 36. Now, notice this kind of histogram, instead of having like showing the intervals, they showed things like this. Instead of going 22 to 24, they say 22. And then they write down where 24 starts, and then they write where 26 starts. This is like a fluid number line. That's okay. That's just a type of histogram. It's continuous, it's fluid, and that's something that can happen. Guys, make sure all of your cameras are off because I think we have a camera on here and you are not allowed to do that. So make sure it is off or I'm gonna have to kick you out. Just give me a second here. And this is kind of a waste of time. All right, no cameras. Let me just go ahead and do something here. I gotta message them. Oh, wow. Why can't we just follow the rules? Okay. All right, we'll give them a second. All right, let's go on to the next one, number 4. Okay, number 4, the following data shows prices of meal options at Bob's Burgers. Prices of meal options, okay. Which histogram correctly displays the information above? So you're gonna have to do a little bit of looking here, all right? Oh, this histogram down here, that's a horrible histogram. Because look, it really doesn't show you much information. Everything's pretty, they call that uniform. Hopefully she's got that off. Hold on, let me go ahead and let this person in. You look at those histograms for a second while I figure this out. Okay. We are good. Okay, so let's look at this here. Now, if I look at these numbers, the peak might tell me some information, the William peak, okay? So the peak would be, let's see, I don't know what the peak would be. Very interesting. I think I'm gonna have to do a frequency table, I think, to figure this out. Okay, so we have 6 to 7. There's no 0 to 6. I don't know how they're gonna do this. Let's see here. All right. You guys help me out, okay? So 5 to 10. How many 5 to 10s are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This says 5. That's right. So far, so good there. 10 to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right, too. And then 15 to 20. 1, 2, 3. That's not right. Okay, so this one here is wrong. So we know that A is wrong. Let's look at C. Okay, 6 to 7. 1, 2, 3. That's right. 8 to 9. 1, 2. That's right. 14 to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right. 16 and 17. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we found it. Okay, this is the right one right here. Okay, because it has exactly the right information in it. Double check that it's got the right info on the axis though. 6 to 7, 8 to 9, 14, 15, 16, 17. All right, let's make sure these aren't right. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Okay, we're good. It's C. So we had to kind of count those up as we went. I have someone raising their hand, so I wanna unmute. Ricardo, I'm gonna call on you. Hey, Ricardo.
Hi.
What was your question, buddy?
I didn't get 3. I was a little bit distracted. What was 3 again?
Number 3 was C.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And Leilani, do you have a question? Leilani, you have a question?
No, I don't remember putting my hand up, but I probably
It's okay, I'll put it down. Hey, Leilani, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but we'll try. All right. Let's go ahead and move to the next one, guys. Let's get this done. Number 5, the histogram below represents the results of a survey conducted from a local university asking recent graduates the amount of their first year salary. How many recent graduates make less than $44,000? Okay, so these are in the thousands. I found 44, right? But we want less than 44. So you're going to go ahead and draw the line. It's going to be everything to the left of it. Think of an inequality. So here is 400. And then here we have 250. I know it's 250 because it's halfway between 200 and 300. Here we have 300. And then here we have 50. So 250 plus 350, excuse me, 250 plus 50, that's 300, plus another 300, 600, plus 400 is 1,000. So the answer is C. Shout out to Jake for getting that answer right. You add them all up, you get 1,000 employees would make less than $44,000 as they graduated from college. All right, so now let's move on to the next one. The histogram below shows the scores for Mrs. Smith's first block class at Red Rock Middle School. These are test scores of Miss Smith. Okay, so I go ahead and read the title, get my bearings here. So see, some histograms, they would just leave all this stuff off, you know, because there was nothing there. That's what I would do personally. All right, so let's see here. Here's got the frequency, how many kids scored in all these ranges. All right, so if an 85 is the lowest score a student can earn to receive a B. Okay, so in this class, they're doing it differently. 85 is a B. How many students received at least a B? So 85 or more. Okay, so we're going to go to 85. Here we have 6. Okay, then we go to an A, it looks like. The A's are 4. So altogether, 85 or more would be 10, which is B. Good job. All right, I think we got somebody unmuted, so I'm going to mute you guys. And we have a question. Miss Bella, what's your question?
I was kind of distracted when you were on number 5. What was the answer for number 5?
Number 5 was, I forgot, I think it's C. C, yep.
Okay.
Number 5 was C, and number 6 is B. And remember, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube as well. All right, so number 7, the histograms below show the scores for Mrs. Smith's first and second block class at Red Rock Middle School. So we have first block, second block. It's kind of like periods. Oh, they love putting this on the FSA, these types of questions. Compare the histograms using the following information. 69 and above is passing, so 69 and up, yay. 68 or below, nay. Okay, so we wrote that down there. Which of the following statements is true? I really need to put some like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music on behind me or something like that in post, right? I'm a YouTuber now, what can I say? The number of students that pass the test is the same in both classes. So 69 and above. So let's see, 69 and above, we have 3 here, we have 6, we have 7, and then we have 6. So that would be 12, 19, 20, 21, 22 would be passing over here. And then over on this one, we have in the first block, we have 3, 5, 7, and 6, and 4. So we have 10, 25. So that's not true. More students passed in the first block than the second block. That's a true statement because 25 passed in the first block. I think that's the right answer there. Let's check it though. More students passed in the second block. Nope, that's not true. Cannot be determined based on the graph. No, we can definitely determine that information. There's some things we can't determine. Like they could ask us, how many students scored exactly 84 on the test? We don't know because 84, all those 84 tests are just shoved in a bin with the 77s through 84s. So we can't determine exactly how many someone scored, you know, on an exact score. So that's why B is the answer for number 7. Okay, everyone get that? Hopefully, because 25 versus 22. Wait, I made a mistake, didn't I? Hold up. Look at this. Look what I did. When I went back to explain it to you, I caught my mistake. Look, see, even teachers make mistakes. I was so excited to label my bars that I labeled 61 through 68. Wah, wah. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so that was not included. All right, so we need to subtract 3 from that. So it is the same amount. They did exactly have the same amount. Look at that. Block 1 and block 2 tied. Okay, so the answer on number 7, go back and change it if you accidentally wrote B. Number 7 is A. And shout out to Cooper and Nicholas for catching that. Okay, good job. All right, so let's go to, almost done, guys. Number 8. The histogram below shows the scores for Mrs. Smith's second block class at Red Rock Middle School. How many students scored a 77 on the test? Oh, wait, this is just what I was telling you. I know that like there's 6 kids that scored 77 through 84, but there's no way for me to unpack that. I can't figure out exactly how many, if any, scored 77. It could be 0 that scored 77. I don't know. So that cannot be determined on a histogram. Okay, so you can't find exacts because they're stuck in bins together. They're just thrown in a bucket together. Okay, so nope, can't be determined. So number 8 is D. 2 more. Cosmic Inc. is a software company with 30 employees. The ages of the employees are displayed in the histogram. How old is the youngest employee? All right, this is where I have to read this. Okay, employee age. Here are my ages down here. Here are the numbers. Now, see, this is where some kid can be like, oh, one, the youngest employee is 1 year old right here. No, that's the number of employees. Make sure you're looking at the ages. So 10, okay, is the youngest employee. But wait, what did I just say in that last slide? I said I can't quite determine where they fall within that bucket, that bin of 10 to 19. So do I know that that one person in this bucket is 10? But couldn't they be 19 or 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13? They can be any of those. So I can't determine that it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19. It could be any of them. So actually the answer is D, cannot be determined. Okay, so even though 10 is the lowest on the graph, even though 59 is the highest, we can't tell. We know that person fits that range, and a lot of times they ask us, I just did a census, and they ask you what range you fit in and everything, but they don't get your exact age. So a lot of times ages are put into ranges like this. So we can't quite determine exactly what the lowest age of an employee is, and just based on this information. We'd have to ask another question. Okay, good one. If you caught that, shout out to Matthew Baxter. Shout out to Maddox. Shout out to Keegan Robbins. Good job, guys. All right, so let's go to the last question. Oh, wait, that was? No. Oh, it looks so similar. I thought it was the same question. All right, so same histogram. 30 employees. It says which interval has the least number of employees. So I go to number of employees, and then I look at these. There's one here, and there's also one there. So both this one and this one, 10 to 19 and 50 to 59. So that would be both A and B. They both have the least number of employees in those groups. So that means that most of the people in this company are between the ages of 20 and 49. Okay, that's like more like working age people, I guess. Okay, so that's how you read and interpret histograms, guys. It's kind of interesting. Not much calculation going on, just a lot of like, I don't know, like analyzing. All right, so how do you feel about reading histograms? Think about how you would rate yourself. Levels of understanding. 0 being you can't even do it even with the teacher's help. 4 being I can do it and I feel like I can even go farther a little bit. 3 is you got it. 2, you can do it, but you might need a little help. You might need maybe level 2 might need an example in front of them or something like that. Okay, so where do you fit? And if you came late or you feel you are a level 0, 1, or 2, you need to either go back and watch this on YouTube again, because it does take time, or I will post another tutorial about this this week, because it kind of goes between the lesson that we're doing today and the lesson on Wednesday. So you can watch that tutorial video to help you. And I've also posted some Khan Academy links that you can visit to go ahead and help you with that. All right. So just a reminder, I have a couple questions too. Let me call on some people. Mr. Peak, since your name is one of our vocab words right now, I'm calling on you.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I was just asking, my mom was asking a question and I didn't get number 10.
Okay, no problem. You know, mothers do that sometimes. So number
Sure.
10 was C, and that was because both 10 through 19 and 50 through 59 were both the least number of employees. They tied.
Yes.
So it's C.
Thank you.
Do you have another question?
No.
Okay, well, it's nice to hear your voice, William Peak. I miss all of you guys so much, and we really got gypped, man. I wish that we could have had a full year together. Always know you guys can come back and visit us and stuff after this year's over. Okay, so reminder, what do you have to do at the end of this? What's the graded assignment and when is it due? Okay, all graded assignments in all of your classes are due on Friday from now on to the end of the year. Okay, you can do the IXL graded assignment, this one, which is if you type CBF, you'll go right to it. And then also you have to do that. That's for out of 100 grade, okay? And then bonus credit. If you want bonus points added to your last quiz, you can type the shortcut MFY and you will get 4 bonus points if you get to 80 or 6 bonus points if you get to 100. Take the opportunity because I don't give you that often. And there is no math quiz this week. May the force be with you. Go on and have a wonderful day. I'll see you if you come to my office hours between 2 and 3. I can help you out. Okay? Bye, kiddos. See ya.